And as if by magic, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's lies. It was me. I pressed the button at the right time. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Game of Thrones tabletop role-playing campaign after the fire. We are here in the midst of our own spring sickness, but hopefully you can still tune in. And I'm very happy that you've all come to watch us tonight. So please, from me to you, take care of yourselves, look after each other, and be sensible. I am staying in this house for 14 days now, because I've decided that's what we're doing. And we're on a hype train. That's so cool. All right. We got some donations. Could we please see the top of my head? I mean, that's hello. But no. So we got some donations. Oh, God's sake. All right. There you go. You happy now? We got some donations before we started. So Tom and Don got a test dice. And I got a bonus dice and a test dice. Is everyone happy with my cam positioning now?
Yes, Sam. Give the people what they want.
I'm a little. I have to sit up then. See, now I can just like slouch. Now it's easier. Cool. All right. Let's go around, have a chat to our lovely people who are assembled. Tom, you are first. Are you still going into work, right?
Yeah, I'm still going into it. I'm a gardener, so I don't really interact with people.
That's fair.
So with the National Trust, they've closed properties in the kind of the gardens and the parkland, because where I work is quite unique place. It's got walled gardens, which you have to pay into, and then it's got parkland around. And they want to keep it open so people can still go out, have exercise and stuff like that, but not be like to people and spread it. So it's pretty good. So we're still in working in the rain. My mental state is about that much before snapping. I think I've been working in rain for about 6 months, and I think I'm almost done. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can put a smile on and say, yeah, this is fine. As much as I love my job, there's a limit. So I'm hoping for a dry spring.
Yeah. Well, the weekend's looking nice.
Yeah. Shame I'm not in work.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. But what else have you been on? I caught a little bit yesterday of the Rat Home.
Oh yes, so Zweihander betrayal of Rat Home. The title's changed as the series has gone on. It's great. My character there is I can't play it. I just can't roll. I think Fancy Grounds hates me. He's supposed to be a combat character. Every time I roll, it's shit for combat. And what's worse is that Jay before the week was rolling amazing for my character. Like, that is what my character can do when the rolls are for you. I can one-shot anyone if the rolls go in my favor.
Right.
But they just don't. I just can't roll for combat. Just can't roll for toffees.
Oh, man.
So it's grim, but a lot of fun. You just got to go with it. You just got to roll with it, really. If the rolls just keep going crap, you just accept the fact that you're cursed. You just keep going.
Yeah.
Just play into it.
That's fair. So that's Encounter Roleplay 7 p.m. on the Wednesdays?
Yes.
On the UK time?
Wednesdays.
Whatever time zone you guys are in now. We haven't changed over yet, so I guess we're still like only 4 hours ahead.
I think so. It's about
for Eastern. Yeah. So for Jason 5 because of the extra zone. Yeah. Fair enough. Cool. Yep. All right. Sweet. So we'll see how Alfred gets on traveling down I think the Ironwood River. I don't know if the river has an actual proper name. Don will probably correct me at some point.
I don't know if it does.
It doesn't have a name, but I like to think it's the Ironwood River.
We've just named it the Ironwood River. There you go, George. You can have that one for free.
Let's just stick the dagger further into the Fowlers with that. Yeah, they named it the Ironwood River. Bastards. Cool. Well, let's head over to Virginia. Hello, friend.
Hi.
I saw you on a conference call this morning Twice, in
Twice
fact, yeah,
today.
this afternoon as well.
We're working from home.
We are in conference call hell now. Yeah.
Yeah, the life is just Google Hangouts forever. It's Google Hangouts all the way down.
Not the fun kind either.
No. But no, things are okay. You know, I get to be in my comfy clothes all day. So don't
That's
have
true.
to go out.
I haven't done the PJ bottoms. Everything else is like, you know, presentable on top thing.
Sam,
yet.
that's basically every day since we started working from home. This is me now.
Yeah, I haven't
I
started
have a decent
that yet.
top on. I've got PJ bottoms on and have done all day.
I mean, same now, but that's evening, Sam.
Oh, I switch. I have daytime ones, so I can pretend that I've got dressed, and I feel like I've accomplished something for the day. But yeah, this is it. My life is now working from home and being on the internet. So
Fair.
I am truly a child of my generation.
Nice. And you have something very exciting coming up tomorrow. You are doing Dishonored. A preview of Dishonored, our tabletop role-playing game from Modiphius on Encounter Roleplay, right?
Yeah, it's going to be really, really exciting, especially since now I'm like doing all of the stuff for it as well.
Yeah.
It's been fun. I did spend an hour after work today just watching playthroughs and bits and pieces to like properly get into like the little bits and pieces of like the architecture and all the weird contextual stuff. But I've got a ringer for them planned. And funny enough, fun insider information. The game that I'm running is actually, when I put together some documents for examples on how to pitch, is the adventure that I did as my sample pitch. Is what I'm running, because I was like, I actually really like that.
Yeah, fair.
I'm going to do that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. They're going to get into a whole bunch of trouble, hopefully, and all of the spoopy stuff too.
Nice. Yeah.
If they go the way that I think my wonderful group of usual Star Trek players will go, it will be good.
Nice.
But you should come and watch that if you want like a sneak preview of the game, because it's not out yet.
Yeah. Pre-orders start pretty soon. I don't know if we actually announced the date yet.
We have not.
Cool.
We have not.
Soon.
But soon. TM.
Soon, TM.
Like real soon.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Looking forward to it, friendo. Well, let's go round the clock to Jason. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello. Hi. Very, very good. Getting over a little bit of something in my chest. Luckily, keeping my health and keeping happy as can be, as it were. Getting things in order for a couple of projects that will be later on down the line.
Super.
Also, it's spring break, apparently, from my college. I've been enjoying it somewhat. But no, happy to be indoors, happy to be here, most definitely. At Just Jason, please, on Twitter if you want to find out where I am at any particular point in time. I'll leave specific plugs at the end. But happy to be here, happy to, be contributing to this marvelous, marvelous story once again, because we were robbed last week.
Yeah, I know, yeah. But
I say with much love.
Sure, absolutely. But we have a couple of, spaces for the guys. What do we call them? The three Wamigos. To like,
it's changed from the Three Musketeers to Three Caballeros, and now what's the
three Wamigos? It's a Charlieism. I don't know what's going on. I'll be honest. But yeah, there we go. We got it in chat. But I am really looking forward to that and some interaction there as we develop a bit of a relationship with the characters. It's going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. And finally, Jonathan Fry is here, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, sir.
Hi. I'm doing good. This is the end of my 11th week of self-quarantine.
Oh.
It's only because totally optional. I know it's it's a weird time right now, and a lot of my friends, because I used to bartend until January. Now, like, I work from home all the time. I'm like constantly writing. So for me, it's been kind of an easy transition. I'm enjoying all the games I'm getting to play and run. But there's a lot of my people that I'm close to who are having a really hard time right now, and it's very difficult to reconcile that. And I know it's difficult for everybody. So I'm just glad that we get to do one of the things we can do, which is get to play a great game with a great story with good friends and hang out and chat. And so thank you everybody for being here.
A little
Let's see.
routine can go a long way, right?
It helps me, so I would go crazy without it.
Yeah, right.
Like last week, I like my Thursday afterwards, I just started drinking. It wasn't bad. I mean,
no, I get it though. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right.
But you've done something really cool. You've on your Discord for the Patreons that follow you. You've put out a thing about getting some kind of quick pickup games and kind of helping people get games together. I really appreciate that, and I've seen a bit of that from the community already, and I think that's just freaking awesome. This is what this community is about. It's about coming together virtually, if anything, to play games and just kind of create a different headspace for a while, but also, give a little room to explore some kind of cathartic themes and stuff. So, I'm really appreciative of that. Like not that I like taking advantage at all, but just kind of, just observing it. Like, I think that's really, really cool.
I agree. I think that the community as a whole, of the online TTRPG community, this is about the best response I think I've ever seen them have to any situation. Just a lot of inclusion and helping people out, seeing what we can do to, reach out to people who maybe don't even play games, who've never played before, but now's a good time, right? As they're, in their homes and they have the internet. It's a great way to stay connected to people. So I'm excited about that. One of the games that I'm testing right now that I'll run for folks on my Patreon is the same game that I run tomorrow on Encounter Roleplay. It's that same system that I've been working on. And I'm really enjoying that right now, because I can kind of like, when I feel anxious, one of the things I love throwing myself into is designing games, like working on games. It just kind of like evens me out. And so that's a really fun one. The Haunting of Seawall Orphanage, which is going to be right after Dishonored tomorrow. So right after V finishes her game, I'll be running my game, which is like small town horror. It's kind of inspired by Stephen King, but I'm having a lot of fun with the system. And I feel like every week, we're tweaking it. It's getting better. It's like play testing it in front of a bunch of people who can give me feedback, which is kind of awesome. Yeah. It's like kind of like what you did with the spy game,
Yeah. Absolutely. I just think it helps so much. If I really had the time, I would be playing the spy game, 3 times a week, like just getting more and more experience of running it, more and more experience of feedback. We're in the midst of finishing off the initial drafts, the kind of last few bits. A lot of people obviously saw a lot of the rules drafts that we put out already, and that's been fairly finessed and even revised now from a lot of the beta feedback that we've had. And now it's just down to the kind of nitty-gritty bits, like how to write a campaign or how to put together an encounter and stuff. So yeah, we're working on that right now. In fact, questions in chat, we do in fact have a Discord here. Yeah, it's it'll be a link right now by Susie, who's our fantabulous marketing exec. So she's doing a great job there. So thank you very much, Susie. But yeah, so you can check out our Discord there via the link, and we'll make sure it's in the YouTube chat as well. And then we've got blackcatsgaming.com is where you can find out more information about the spy game, as well as following us on Twitter at followblackcats. And do check out all these lovely people as well on their Twitter handles on their frames. But friends, it's time to delve into the world of Westeros, where you'll have to help me out this week a little. I haven't written as much like paragraphy read aloud text as I usually do. So, but as I say, we've left some space for the characters to really interact. So yeah, it should be a really fun one. All right. I am going to start this week's session with Mara. Because of course I am.
This is why I have whiskey.
That's fair. That's fair. The procession making their way through the hedge maze gardens snakes through the clean-cut hedges and rose-black bushes. A black and red serpentine creature, slowly emerging and crawling to the inner bailey wall and the northeast gatehouse. The corridors of Highgarden are alive with the gossip of a Targaryen visit from King's Landing. But no advance riders of the advancing party gave word or announced their patron. Speculation amongst the court vacillates wildly between this being Prince Maekar, Prince Baelor, or perhaps even the king himself. Still, the lack of announcement for such a visit as this has cast a shadow over the court of the Reach. And you can see across the faces of its courtiers, lords, and ladies. From your Jonkill balcony, you can see over the inner bailey and into the maze beyond from your quarters, as the snake's head slowly splits out from the gatehouse into the figures of individual riders on horseback, and black armoured guards on foot, escorted by knights in the green and gold of House Tyrell. Next to Lord Tyrell, mounted on his white charger, in the green barding bearing a golden rose of his house, rides a figure, dark of hair, decked in a black surcoat with red trim, on a light brown courser, followed by a lady in a black and purple dress on a dark brown pony, and an elegant wooden litter is drawn by a single palfrey behind them. And in the northeast courtyard, a crowd gathers. So you are in your quarters, and Alistair is there with you as well. But you are looking out from the balcony as this crowd of courtiers and other lords and ladies have started to gather in the inner bailey. And you've got a perfect view of this scene in front of you. Is there anything you'd like to do or say to begin with?
I think Mara watches this, and it's one of those times she's watching and she's almost not really looking at it. She's just kind of staring at this procession coming through, and then slowly she feels the horrible drop in her stomach as she's reminded by the colour of the Targaryen banners that her brother is currently warded. That it wasn't all that long ago she was walking across a battlefield with a letter that declared the skirmish as treason against the crown. And I think she takes a moment and almost vainly looks down at how she is dressed. And she's in one of her simple day dresses. It's nothing fancy at all. And immediately she focuses all of her panic into that she is not dressed for attending court with there being royalty, with the crown being here. And she rushes back into the room and starts taking her dress off. Doesn't say anything to Alistair as to why, but just begins taking it off and pulling something else out of the cupboard, something more fitting, as she knows that everyone will probably convene at some point in the Great Hall here at Highgarden, and just ignores Alistair almost completely as she focuses all of her panic into this action of getting changed.
Alistair is holding his arms outstretched either side of him as a servant is dressing him and doing up his cuffs. She actually interrupts you, and this is the first you really, again, as you say, because you've been ignoring them, kind of take notice of her, see her, as she says, "My lady," and she like tries to help you get something out of the dresser. As she tries to make a fuss of you rather than you doing this, as this is it's a lovely little tiny breach of social kind of normality of you kind of pulling at your own clothes and trying to pull things out of the dresser itself.
And I think at that point she has a moment of kind of struggling and then just kind of stops, and she's like, not that one, the black one with the oak leaves on the collar. As she points out, it's like an overcoat that comes up. It's the one you see in her portrait, where the kind of collar comes up and it goes over the dress. And once this woman lays the clothes out, I imagine she's like, can you leave us for a few moments, please? Find something in the kitchen that looks sweet and bring it back, or I don't know, just please go. Like she's trying to be polite as she knows that she is flustered and panicking, and it's like the most she can manage to be polite to this poor woman that she's probably usually very nice to.
She looks absolutely shocked, and kind of tilts her head away and goes off out the door. And then Alistair turns and he's asking, Mara, what's wrong? And he looks at the balcony. Just before, as you can kind of answer, he walks over and he looks out to the scene there. What do you say to him?
She waits for him to look out, and she's fussing with another bit of her dress as she's changing. Alistair, the Crown are here. We don't even know who, but they're here.
And you see him kind of take a swallow hard for maybe something he was going to say, or just trying to suppress a feeling he was having.
It wasn't all that long ago that skirmish was declared treason, and now they're here. I wish I could believe in coincidence at this point, but I really don't. And we haven't even had a chance to speak to Lord Tyrell about what happened at Greenmont. And
you spoke to Lord Mathos, though, and he said he would speak to my cousin and Lord Leo.
It's not the same, though, and that changes things. If the Crown are here, they're going to take up all of that time, and worse still, if this comes out while they're here, something that came off the back of a battle that was declared treasonous, they're not going to take that lightly, Alistair.
No. And he looks out again, down at the yard, and he takes enough of a moment that you can join him there and look out as well, as the dark-haired figure is now dismounted and is being flanked by a member of the Kingsguard, all in white with a white shield.
Does Mara recognise this figure?
I was going to ask you to make a cunning memory check or education knowledge, either way.
Let me have a look. I will go for... Actually, I don't. I'll go for cunning memory.
Sure. Nine's pretty good. This is, as you kind of go through what you've heard of what the princes look like, and what the king looks like, this is Baelor Breakspear, the hand of the king.
I imagine that she's walked up beside Alistair and kind of almost in front of him on the balcony as he stood behind her. And staring at this figure is when it drops, and she's been going through that list in her mind. She's like, the hand of the king. The hand of the king is here in Highgarden. And she just looks at him, looks at Alistair worried. We are truly going to have to play the game now, Alistair. I don't know if you understand what this means, but my mother taught me about court. She taught me everything I knew about court. And this, she kind of like gestures behind her. This is never good. This is never, ever good. More than ever, you need to trust me now. Because if this is to do with what happened on that battlefield, that sword, and I imagine he's got it on him as he's been getting like dressed up for court, that won't solve anything here, not this time.
And for one of the only couple of times, your husband is somewhat of a stranger to you, as he is listening to you. but his expression is clouded, or he is certainly hiding something. As he doesn't reply, he looks down at the balcony and just hangs just by the wall so that, he might step to one side to avoid their gaze. But as you look down as well, you see the prince looking up at the balconies, looking up at the windows, and looking into your quarters. You have an opportunity now. I would like to move the scene on to explore Highgarden and to continue with some of the agenda that you have. I know that you've got some business to look into.
I think after Mara I imagine that the poor servant comes back with something, candied plums or something from the kitchen, whatever she could find, and they get dressed. And Mara's first kind of thing that she wants to go and do is find out where her brother is, because as far as she knew, he was here, and she asked him to go off to Blackmont to speak to their cousins, but never heard anything back, which it's understandable. She had been traveling too. So I guess she would try the Maester first here at Highgarden and see if anything had been left for her from her brother. And then if not, I think she'd perhaps go and seek out the Lady Desmira, knowing that her brother had been tangled up there, and perhaps she has had some contact with him since he left. But the Maester's her first port of call.
Sure. How would you like to deal with the Maester? How would you like to approach the Maester?
She's, I like to think that Mara is fairly nice to most people. So I think she heads up and she, I imagine the door is open up to whether it's a tower or the room that he's in, but she'll still knock.
There is a Maester's tower, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
she will climb the steps, and she's quite out of breath by the time she gets there. She's cursing her bodice a bit. But I think even if the door is open, she will knock and wait respectfully. She won't just go barging in.
And for the continuity of people who've been following us so far, Mara knocks on a door and enters at a different floor and a different office to the one that Simon used to enter in at ground floor, or at least left when he last exited the Maester's tower, which was an exit and entrance at the very bottom near the records, near the Maester's poultice and kind of potion area, alchemy area. And this is very much an office with its own records, its own desk, lovingly crafted in oak, as you strangely recognise now, having seen a lot of it at Old Oak. And roll me a status test, please.
Anything with that? Just breeding, or
in a funny way, I'm gonna ask for stewardship. Cool. I'm to be transparent about it. I'm seeing whether he's busy with
11.
Okay, yeah. As you knock, and the door, the heavy oaken door, just creaks forward just a little bit, and it allows you. It affords you a gaze inside. And as you just look around the gap, you don't see anybody inside. That doesn't mean that you can't stay here and try something.
Presumably Mara knows the name of this Maester here.
Yes, and I'm going to have to dive into my drive to just double check Lord Leo in his court, but I do have it right here. Did I not put his Maester in here anywhere? Okay.
I don't think you did so.
No, here we go.
Godric.
Yeah.
I think at this point, clearly the door has not been locked and was already kind of a little bit, I imagine it's shut but not closed. So she takes that as a sign that she probably can enter. And I imagine she very carefully pushes the door and just calls into the room, Maester Godric?
And you receive no reply.
I think she takes another breath as she's still out of breath, composes herself, and just pushes the door open, takes a few steps into the room, and calls out again, Maester Godric?
And there is a silence.
If I have to walk all the way down these stairs again. Are there other rooms that lead off from here, or is it just this room?
There is a single door that you, at the right-hand side of the other side of the room, that looks like it leads into a small, one of those typically really cramped circular staircases that will wind down the tower to a different location.
Mara does one final sweep to make sure that this poor maester isn't just like stupid things like around the back of the door reading at a bookcase and just isn't listening. And I imagine she goes over to the other door, and if it opens, she'll push it open and just call down there for him as well to see if there is an answer.
She doesn't receive any reply there, but I would like you to make me a awareness notice check.
Oh.
And again, I'm going to be quite transparent about this. I don't know what you might find, but I'm willing to let you tell me if you succeed a difficulty 15 test.
No, 11.
Okay. So the office itself is full of letters, full of documents and official-looking books and stuff. It's more, you imagine, the working office of court, rather than the archives and the records that we knew Simon was looking in. What would you like to do next?
I think she has a moment where she just like sighs very loudly and consigns herself to trying to find the Lady Dismira instead and having to walk all the way back down those stairs. I think she has a moment where she'll look over at the desk with all of its writings and the letters and the Raven scrolls that perhaps are more private correspondence. And she thinks about it for a moment and forces herself to leave the room. There's a bit of her that wants to go searching to see if there's anything from the crown that would indicate why the Hand of the King is here, but
I would
there's a bit in the...
I would let you... Let me check our house rules again. I would let you... I believe it's spend a destiny point in order to find a clue.
I think... Oh. I will spend the only destiny point I have left.
Let me check.
Then.
Let me check it.
If I can.
Yeah, add a detail to the scene to help you. This is spending, so it won't remove the destiny point entirely, but you can't use it until you refresh it by accomplishing a goal that you're after. So if you find out where Simon's gone, then or what, at least if you accomplish, and if Mara feels that she understands what has happened to Simon and she's content with that, then we can refresh it.
Yeah, I imagine that she thinks twice and she goes to turn away, and maybe it's on a secondary desk or table that would normally just hold some ornaments or some books. She spots that letter from the crown, if I can add that. She spots the seal.
It's absolutely,
on the side of it.
You've got creative control now.
Yeah, I imagine that is what she sees. And I think there's a bit of her mind that consigned that she was looking, knowing that she wouldn't find it, and that's why she turned away. But now she has actually seen it.
Can I intrude?
Yes.
Okay. Help our stream by giving a little bit of narration of looking around the room while I find exactly what I'm looking for.
Okay. But it's that moment that she looked at the desk, not really expecting to see anything, resigning herself to, I'm not going to rifle through the maester's papers. And she spots it. And I think she freezes in that moment because she prides herself on trying to be truthful, or at least trying not to outright lie to somebody's face. In her mind, not giving the whole truth is not the same as lying. And she very carefully walks over to this scroll that is sat there with the seal that's already been torn. It's clearly been, this paper has been read, and she almost stops listening to see if there's somebody coming up the stairs, and picks it up very carefully and kind of just runs her fingers over the wax seal, wondering whether or not she should put it down, having a moment to... She almost does put it back down and then just can't, and she has to open it. She has to see.
And in Roll20, I've pasted what you find before you hear footsteps coming up the tower.
Do you want me to read this out?
Oh, go ahead.
So, I imagine Mara's a fairly quick-ish reader. She got taught how to read and write, so... they claimed their bid for a false arrest of Oliver Ironwood, that he had murdered Peake in a conspiracy with the also deceased Lord Blackmont. They did not solicit his arrest from Lady Marcia Greenmont and the recognised regent. However, it is my suspicion that their hands were long stained by the spilling of blood. Indeed, whilst the host was present at Fox Hollow, there was a murder of a prisoner whom had been taken into Peake, Tarly and Oakhart's collective custody. There is a grave conspiracy in the Reach, and to silence witnesses to their appalling machinations will stop at nothing. We beseech you as humble servants of this realm, please do not allow for such trespass against the Seven Kingdoms. We must end these bitter hostilities and prevent the reincitement of that terrible conflict. We seek our own amends for past errors, but not with blood, instead with justice and recognition of the honourable oaths that bind us all to serve the King and Westeros.
And as your eyes glance over, we seek our own amends for past errors, but not with blood, instead with justice and recognition. You hear the steps coming up of the main staircase that you entered the office in.
I think she puts the scroll down. Whether or not she catches if this has been signed by anyone, it's up to you. But she places the scroll back, and I imagine that there's a secondary chair in this room somewhere. Perhaps even by this table as like a reading space. And I imagine that she just breathes in and sits herself down in it as if she's just waiting. Politely.
Can you roll a deception test for me, please?
I can, and this is going to go so badly. I have to re-roll any sixes, so...
Oh, it's going to be juicy then.
18. Any sixes?
Oh yeah,
2 sixes.
It's green, so let's re-roll those sixes.
How do I use Roll20 again?
You can click on the dice symbol on the left to the 2 sixes, or you can /roll and then
That's it.
Space 2d6.
I'm so used to Fantasy Grounds now.
Yeah, that's going to replace them. So a 2 and a 1, a 3 and a 3 is going to be 7, 8, 9.
9.
Okay. Maester Godric enters through the main entrance there and is flanked by a couple of courtiers. They're not massively important, V. But it's the Maester you have your business with. And as he waves them away, he looks at you for a second.
And she will stand as he enters the room out of respect.
Lady Greenmont.
Yes, Maester Godric. I apologise. I didn't mean to intrude on your office. I came up here to speak to you, and you weren't here.
Oh, no.
At those stairs. It's an awfully long climb.
Not at all. But as you're doing the looking down, looking up, eye contact thing, and just as you glance up, you see he glance at the desk to where the letter was that you read, and look back at you.
I didn't mean to intrude. Those stairs, it's just an awfully long climb coming all the way up here in this dress. And she is legitimately clutching a bit at her stomach as it kind of aches from the climb.
Don't my knees understand that. Now, can I help you at all with the pregnancy? Anything at all there?
Oh, no, I am fine. I was actually wondering if I could inquire after my brother, Simon Greenmont. He was here at Highgarden when I was last here before returning from down south. I sent him a letter asking him to visit some family, but I didn't receive word back. I haven't seen him since I got back here, so I assumed that he's left, but I wondered if he might have sent any correspondence here to me or left any for me to receive.
What's your passive awareness?
Is that the big number in the little box on the sheet?
That's the little number that's next
12.
to your normal number. All right, so 5 does not beat a 12. As you say Simon Greenmont, you see the Maester draw back into himself, and he's thinking. And as you're talking, he's not really listening to what you say, but there is that slight widening of the eyes, and there's definitely a memory that has just flashed over his mind as he looks back at you. He visited me, yes.
Did he leave any messages? Have any ravens been sent with letters for me or to leave to me? What do you know where he went?
No messages to my understanding, no.
Does she get the sense from that there's something he's not telling her?
Absolutely. That you understand explicitly what I've described, and right now, that's up to you what you believe or don't believe. I'm not a big fan of being like, he's lying, but like,
yeah, I think Mara spots that, and I think she understands it because that's almost the same look that she has given herself in the mirror when thinking about recent events. That look of remembering and trying not to. And I think she walks over to the door and very gently and not at all threateningly just closes it and almost stands in front of it and folds her hands in front of her. Maester Godric, where is my brother? Please don't try to tell me that you don't know, because I know that look in a person's face. Please. Where is he?
That is a fantastic point to move over to the boys.
I thought you were going to say it's a great place to go into an intrigue. That's where I thought you were going.
It is. I may do a quick intrigue because it's not the not the intrigue I had planned yet. But we are going to go over to Alfred as the three gentlemen of House Greenmont are trying to chart their passage to House Ironwood. Set amongst the sand to the south and the Rocky Mountains to the north lies the Ironwood River, a wide navigable river that you've been travelling down now for a number of days since you passed by House Fowler and I believe Skyreach as their keep. You have been travelling on foot so far, but it's now that you actually see, now with the river being wider, that there are groups of fishers on the banks, a mix of people, of firstborn heritage, of salty Dornish heritage, and they travel up and down the river on little punting barges, pushed by hand. There's one or two traders who have been travelling a kind of horse-drawn kind of canal boats as well. Heading downriver on one of these barges is likely to be the quickest way that you'll get to House Ironwood. Following the river and then charting your direction just to the southeast of the actual mouth of it would also be fine in terms of navigation. But the river travel here is certainly the quickest way down. I will leave you folks up to chat and decide what you'd like to do.
Can we get the horses on these barges?
No. These barges they're fishing barges. They're probably, I'm imagining them to be about 8 to 10 foot long, but only about 2 people wide. You could probably get a horse on one of them, and it's likely that barge would tip over if you did. The merchant canal boats that you've seen, and literally only one, maybe two, are bigger and wider. You could certainly get the horses on one of those. The merchants travelling to and from House Fowler and the Sea of Dawn are obviously going to have maybe an upper hand in terms of bargaining with you.
Are they much slower? Are they still quicker than travelling by horse?
They are really two types of boat, really, because what you see is as the fishers are heading out into the middle of the river. It's quite a deep river too, even at this point early on in its journey. They can move quite quickly when they want to, and they push out quite fast, and then they stop quite fairly quickly, and then cast their nets and their lines out into the middle of the river. The barges tend to be more. The pace is constant, as it's it's a proper destrier horse that you've seen that would pull one of these barges along, but it's not a trot. It's a walking pace.
Yeah. Okay. So Alfred will kind of just gently pat Wildflower while he's looking at the barges and the other things, and turn to the others. And, well, what do you think?
So I think Rob's dressed and he's got like his dirty, sandy now leather armor that's studded with rings, metal rings, and he's covered up with that green cloak. He's got the hood pulled over his head because it's another like hot day, right? This is the beginning of summer in Dorne.
Absolutely. So, as you've travelled down the Prince's Pass to the Fowlers, even with the Red Mountains, if you're quite high up, it can be quite cool of a day. But now it's scorching heat. This is Dawn in the summer, and the Red Mountains do buffer a lot of this weather from the rest of the Seven Kingdoms.
So he's covering his face as much as possible, and he's not too far away from Alfred. But if they're like close to the river and close to these people who are kind of hanging out by the river, imagine maybe Rob has gone over just to kind of like casually strike up a conversation with a young Dornish lady, as they're passing by. So he's a little distracted at the moment. He's probably like 50 feet away from the rest of the group.
Barge is going to be quicker. We'll lose the horses, but it's not exactly going to be much a loss. Horse in the dead of Dornish summer is going to be more a liability than anything else.
How do we... if we get Miria back...
When
we get Miria back, should we not have a horse to help her on the travel? That's my worry.
We would find a horse in Ironwood. I'm sure there's more than a few people willing to sell. And if they're not willing to part with it, leave that sentence left unsaid.
Slight smirk on Alfred's face, but kind of just pretends to ignore it. I am worried about continuing on horseback. I don't know if they'll survive this heat.
They won't. You been in Dawn much?
No.
They won't.
Okay.
You see Briar, he is not in his armor at the current moment. He still has his shield sort of by his side, but he's down to his gambeson, and even then it's like unbuckled and unbuttoned because of the heat. And as he takes a pointed look to Rob, because it's like, of course. But as he has this sort of private moment with Alfred, he'll just sort of errantly sort of say almost to himself, an utter lack of moral fiber, a complete disregard for decency and propriety, and a woefully ill temper.
What, Briar?
That's what Babelbrook said about me. 16 years old I was. Younger than you, I wager. I was discharged from consideration from the devoted. sent back home. Decided not to stay. But it gave me a chance to see this. And to know that we need a barge. And we need to get there fast.
I would like to be a rules nerd.
Go on.
What horse has everyone got?
What?
I have got a stot.
Have you?
Which is the lowest of the low. Yeah, that's the same horse that got me from the Reach. You know, like it was a farmer's horse. He kept it as his own all the way back.
I've got whatever
Cool.
the house
kill
gave
it
me.
so much.
What are they?
I've got a mean-spirited black destrier.
Oh. Okay. Tom.
And then, yeah.
I would like you to roll an endurance test for your horse for me.
Is it my own endurance?
It's endurance 4, resilience 1. B.
Well, that's better than what I got. So, all right. So endurance 4. So it's resilience 1. So 5d6. Keep 4.
Yeah.
Hope I did that right. 17 with 1 6.
That's a goodie.
Oh, goody.
That's a goodie. Jason, what did you say you had?
I don't know. Whatever the house gave me. I guess a
Standard
Rouncy?
horse?
I don't know.
Something like that, yeah. It was
Is
whatever
there-
we had, wasn't it?
There is a
Rouncey's-
standard horse.
A Rouncey's pretty good. A Garen might be it.
One up from a stot, I guess, whatever it is.
One up from a
Well,
start is a palfrey or a pony.
I would not
Definitely
be riding a
not
pony.
yeah,
Not a pony.
definitely won't be a pony.
Palfrey then.
Yeah.
Pumphrey then. Sure, why not?
Okay.
I haven't named it anyway. It's probably going to die, but what do I roll?
I named my horse. Oh, God.
You're fine, Tom.
Oh, good.
Again, endurance 4, resilience 2 bonus dice.
So 66 keep 4.
We're looking for a 15, friends. Okay, good thing you didn't name it. And
Good thing. Good
Don, we are looking for endurance 5, resilience 2 bonus dice.
Don't kill Oliver's horse now.
Temperature is a poison. I'm kidding. That's not how the poison rules work.
I rolled that wrong. 1 second.
You just typed 15.
There we go.
Oh, okay. That is beautiful. Those are some beautiful dice. Okay, so, Tom, Alfred's looking at his horse, and as Briar is saying all of this, the horse is doing okay. It's kind of chomping its jaw a little bit, quite a dry mouth as it walks forward. But as you're having this conversation, as Briar is saying all of this, his horse drops to the ground.
Blank stare. I think he's just going to not even like turn to the noise and say 3. That's 3 that I've lost on the road.
Maybe we shouldn't give you any more horses.
Well, Rob, you see this horse drop from the 50
Right.
yards or so you're away from as you're chatting up this fishwife.
Yeah, and I think he he wants to basically and he's acting really shy, like he's giving a really shy smile, but he's being very kind and conversational. He's trying to learn any news that he can learn about the area and maybe even steal a kiss. And I imagine that interaction ends right before that horse goes and falls.
Yeah.
Okay, so roll me persuasion, seduction, or deception act.
Let's do persuasion. I don't have any seduction, but I'll do persuasion.
I think we're looking for an 8. It's
An 8?
passive
Okay.
will, I guess. Oof. Okay, a 17. Yeah, I mean she's falling for the act, basically.
Yeah, and I think Rob describes himself, like we're from House Greenmont. We're on very important business, but I wish that I could stay here longer. I wish that I could get to know the Dornish people better and maybe learn a little bit about how you cook and how you
Sure.
live. Is there anything we should be aware about along the road? And yeah, so he's playing that game, and then he'll go in and steal that kiss right before the horse falls down. That's his goal.
Yeah, I like to think it happens at exactly the same time. You steal the kiss, and then you hear this clomp onto the kind of sandy stone floor of the trail behind you.
Did he learn anything valuable?
Oh! Ask me one question.
Okay. Is it safer to travel by river or by horse to Ironwood from here?
The safety is pretty much the same. It will be quicker to travel by river, regardless of whether you chart a little canal boat or a barge, than it would be to go on
But
foot.
there's no noticeable difference in danger. That's basically what he was going for. Okay. Yeah, so he steals that kiss. The horse falls down, like sand, I imagine, splashes up and is like silting and downward in the air. And he just sort of smiles sheepishly over at the fishwife and says, I'm sorry, my lady. That's my cue. And bows and withdraws.
She just kind of smiles. It's a bit of fun as she walks away with a basket full of fish. And you're back up to the boys.
As Rob is coming up, Briar is just furiously clearing out his saddlebags and just like indiscriminately cursing. Like,
Briar, you can ride my horse.
He's going to die if I ride it. Please don't do me kindness.
He's a strong horse. He got me all the way across the reach, so should be okay.
I appreciate the offer. Don't let me within 10 yards of that horse.
What are we supposed to do then? We can't walk to Castle Ironwood.
Exactly what we were discussing. He pulls out, like, he tries to roll over the horse to get to the other saddlebag that it probably fell on.
Alfred turns to Rob, trying somewhat to ignore what's going on, and the probably the slight curses as Brian's doing it.
Maidens, tits, crones, filthy ass.
Brian believes it would be quicker to go down river on one of the barges. Unfortunately, that means we have to leave the horses.
Oh, well, maybe we could pay one of the locals to look after the horse, and on the way back, we can pick him back. I just met this very nice woman. She might be willing to help out.
If you think she's willing to look after the horses until we get back?
Of course, if we can give her a little bit of coin to help provide some food and, make things easier for her family.
Okay, well, you seem to have a way with the Dornish, Rob. He dismounts and kind of starts taking all his stuff off Wildflower, and and then eventually hands the reins over to Rob. And well, do your best.
All right. You have maybe a couple of silver.
And he kind of checks his coin purse. And
you tell me, Tom.
I'm just looking up. I kind of know what I've got. I do. I have 3 silver stacks.
Oh, maybe 2. I'll try 1 first.
Here you go. I hand over 2 silver stacks.
Who did Marcia give the money to? Nobody.
She gave some to Alfred.
Okay.
I know how I know how much she gave me, yeah. But she still has the main thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So Rob will take the reins of both horses. He looks kind of uncomfortable. He gives Rob that same sort of sheepish smile that he gave the fishwife, nods his head, and he pulls the horses along and tries to catch up to the fishwife with the horses. My lady, excuse me.
I mean, she's with a few of the fishers now, a mix of men and women, and a friend of hers, another woman, looks at her, kind of eyebrows, tilted, like kind of looking between the two of you. As she kind of ignores you, like for a second.
He gives a big, dumb-looking smile to all of them. He says, I'm sorry to bother you all. We're going to be taking a barge, and we need a place to stable our horses. I hate to impose, but I'd be willing to pay, and we could come get them as soon as possible.
So a taller Dornish fisher man turns, and as he turns, his curly beard, mouthing these words, says to you, "How much?"
I've got a full silver stag, more than enough for food and lodging for a time, and we'll be coming back this way, heading back to our house here soon.
All right, roll me a persuasion bargain check.
Bargain. Okay.
Yeah, bargain.
As this is being rolled, we see Briar just straight up cutting through the leather of the saddlebags just to try and get whatever is left.
I'd like to think Alfred's trying to help in some way.
Just in the background, this quick slapstick routine.
In the back of shot.
Back of shot. Yeah. Soft focus on this particular debacle.
I get to add. So it'll be this. Nope.
You're missing the 6 out of the D6 there.
There you go. 25.
Oh. Wow. So the guy comes up to you, takes the silver stag off you straight away, looks at it. Okay. When will you be back? We move around the river.
Within a few weeks, I'm sure, and...
Weeks?
If you don't see us, if we don't find you, the horses are yours, friend. And if we do find you, then I can hopefully give you more on our return for your help.
You will be back on the southern bank?
I believe so.
Then we will trail the southern bank for a few weeks. We do not see you. I will try and sell your horses, but they are not sand steeds. It's likely I'll get very little for them.
Well, and he kind of leans in close, speaking lowly so the others don't hear because he thinks he knows this fella. And he leans in close and he says, well, their meat's as good as any others, right?
Good eating on a horse. Especially the big, thick destrier.
He kind of shoots the black destrier a look, and there is no sympathy or empathy in his eyes for that horse. He just gives him a big smile and he says, thank you, friend. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
And he gives you a nod. And then as you turn to walk away, he says, wait. Here. And he reaches into your not your love, but your fancy that you were chatting up. Like he looks over to the two other lads for a second as they're like pulling and like doing a to me to you routine. It's a Chuckle Brother routine. And he throws you 3 fish that they've caught. And he says,
I think
good
Rob
eating.
Probably juggles with the fish for a moment and having to scoop him up off the ground, and he gives him that same big dumb smile again. He says, thank you. Thank you.
Safe travels. As you get back to the lads, they've just got what they need off of Briar's poor palfrey.
Resisting the urge to kick this thing in the head. Like, it's not a good time.
Oh, okay.
I got fish.
What?
They gave me some fish.
Oh.
I don't.
Good job,
I
Rob.
don't know how to skin one, but do you?
I'm sure I can figure something out. Yeah. Right. Next, we're gonna need a barge. Briar, you know the land and Dawn better than we do. Would you like to take the lead on this one?
If you would be so kind. Go off in search of a barge.
Okay. I mean, walking for the next kind of hour, you have a couple of options. One of them is another fishers group who is working the southern bank. They're a mix of different barges. Each fisher has their own little barge that they punt out into the center of the river to, and then when they get a catch, they come back to their little camp and they start to just kind of basket up the fish. There are different fishers working there, both men and women, who are cutting open, filleting, and doing that kind of thing, just as a few fish so that they've got something to eat tonight. And then there is also a merchant who is traveling slowly with their own destrier, who is walking the barge up downstream towards House Ironwood.
Seems to be the one that we need to hitch up to, so I'll go to the merchant and offer a bargain. What is it? We've got 2 silver stags. To offer, something like that.
Alfred, we've got a little more.
Trying to think of what a fair price would be for the 3 of us traveling on a barge. Say around like 4 silver stags each. So let's go with an opening offer of 8 silver stags.
Alfred looks into his bag and he, well, I don't actually have 8 silver. And he looks, I've got a few dragons. But that's a whisper. But
you can keep those dragons then.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yeah, I didn't think so. Does anyone else have any? Because we've got 2 silver stacks. Has anyone else got anything?
Oh, got 3 fish and a dead horse.
They can keep the horse for meat, I suppose. We throw that in.
I've been in worse scrapes.
I have faith, Briar. I have faith you'll be able to get us through this.
Let's give it a shot and just go to the merchant, offer meat and protection, I guess.
All right. As you approach this barge, it is slowly working its way downstream to the pace of the destrier. And on top deck, you see a rather well-dressed Dornish gentleman in courtier's garb, in colors. There's some red and some kind of coppery oranges and yellows mixed into some of the weave of his fine clothing. A kind of silken sash across his chest and down to one side of his hip.
Would we have any idea who this guy is?
Probably, maybe not. There's a he's under a canopy as he like slowly fans himself. But you have to keep walking in order to like talk to the guy.
All right, so opening bargain. Hello, well met, friend. Call out to the barge.
He looks over rather lazily. He says, "Good morning."
Lovely, lovely summer day. Especially to be enjoying from such a perch. Was wondering if perhaps you would need some assistance to where you're headed.
That accent, are you from the north?
And I'm here, there, everywhere I need to be, friend. The Reach, if you must be specific.
The Reach?
Hmm.
It is not a Reach accent.
Perhaps not. But I'm from there.
Where do you find people traveling to?
Ironwood, as it were.
Ironwood.
Very
nice.
Lovely place this time of year. We're to deliver a bit of a missive to a friend.
Very well. And how may I help you? Deliver this missive, perhaps?
Oh, no. It is a personal matter. We would accompany you.
I see.
Have you any objections?
It is a solitary life, this one, and one I have chosen for myself. But I could be persuaded with some coin.
That we have plenty of, in certain circumstances. Depending upon our arrival, of course.
Of course. So, Jason, I would like you to roll for me a status test, please. Breeding. Breeding applies.
This is not going to be great. That's legitimately one of the higher rolls that I could have gotten.
Oh! I will let you go first. So, with a disposition of having never met the guy of 3, its disposition rating is your little armor there. Yeah, this opening spat, pick a technique, and won't you roll some actions for me?
Influence, bargain, just try and say, dependent upon our arrival, we will ensure your safety, pardon, and ask for no payment in return. If, of course, you would require payment of us, we can offer rations and something to the tune of a few stags.
A few stags.
More than befitting one of your station.
So, 20 silver stags, then.
Look over to Alfred just real quick.
Alfred just looks and he's just...
I think Rob has the same expression.
If you can make change.
Make change. Yes, I believe I can make change.
Well then.
Of what? Dragons?
This would be something to discuss in private.
He actually sits up and he looks around and there's literally no one else around you and he's like, we are talking privately now.
I prefer not to shout. My throat is shredded by this sand.
Well, I'm afraid Nemirius has to carry on, otherwise we will never reach Ironwood in time.
In time for what, may I inquire?
Time for my delivery.
Ah, a man of business. 10 stags for now. 10 upon our arrival.
I would like you to roll for me a persuasion bargain check. I'm just going to roll against like passive will. 14.
14.
Very good. So out of the ensuing bartering, you get him down to 12. As that's just over what you needed.
He did get 2 crits.
Oh, well, that's not. It's passive will rather than his intrigue defense. But yeah,
okay.
I'll that's pretty good. If his intrigue defense was 7, then we'd be applying crits.
Bang.
Yeah, that's pretty low. So yeah, you managed in the ensuing discussion get him down to 12 silver stags, and you essentially can just sit on the barge and wait to get to Ironwood. Obviously, he does camp at night. He pitches up a little camp, and it is exactly how he says. It's a solitary life, but he's got goods. He's got Dornish red wine in barrels that he even shares a little bit of. He's got some A lot of fish, obviously, but he does have a fair few Dornish delicacies as well.
Must say, I mainly dealt with spice traders, but such a life could persuade me to change swords. Were I a younger man. Too old now.
I'm a younger man.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yes, you are,
Perhaps
and
you'll
don't we
share.
know it?
I am taking apprentices, I am afraid.
What was your name again, friend?
Oh, Don.
Every
Sorry.
time. Every time.
Gotta be quick on the draw, man.
Hyle.
Ooh,
Kyle.
I like that.
Lovely name.
Well met, Hyle. I'm Sir Rob of House Greenmont, and I appreciate you doing this for us. How long is the journey?
We should be in Ironwood in a matter of days. So long as Nymeria keeps up her pace. It stares at the horse for a second as it's just chewing on some dry grass.
Well, if we're all going to be traveling together, is there anything I can do to help you pack up, get ready?
I'm willing to help as well.
Well, boys, we pack up the tent in the morning. If you could do that for me, that would be fantastic, and then we shall be on our way. While it is a solitary life, it is very much between holdfasts an easy one.
Good to know.
Don't we love to hear it, boys?
Sounds like a good life.
So we will enjoy the journey together.
Well, I hope so, Hyle.
I don't know when he turned horny, but apparently he turned horny. Okay.
A little bit. Yeah,
We're going with it. It's the
Perfect
Dornish
choice.
Red that did it. It's the Dornish Red.
It is. It's always the Dornish Red.
No objections. Yeah.
Okay.
Y'all two can have however much you want.
Yeah. All right. I would like to head back to Mara as we go back to Highgarden and that Maester's Tower. V, I'd like you to roll status breeding for me, please.
13.
7. You go first.
Oh God. Okay, we're
Okay, yeah. So we
straight up intrigue.
Straight up intrigue. So remember the cheat sheet we've got? Slightly adapted rules.
Yep.
Yeah? Cool.
Okay.
So figure out your objective. You want to find information about Simon. That's all cool. Disposition. You've never met the guy, DR3. I mean, you've actually been examined a couple of times by him, probably.
Yeah.
So feel free to place your disposition where you think it works. And then we've done the initiative. And now we're into... So basically, first of all, pick the technique that you'd like to use, and they're related to your persuasion specialties. You can substitute deception, act, or bluff for one of your persuasion specialties if you like. If you're lying, if you're deceiving him, and then once you've picked your technique, then we role play the exchange, and then we make our actions. Yeah. So I like to think I think you've obviously got a bit of a read on the guy already, and you are going first. And I do like to give out this is now really getting into the weeds of the game, but I do like to give out little environmental bonuses and stuff. What kind of bonus would you like, and how would you like it to have been applied in the narrative? So you could get a +1 bonus to your disposition rating. You could get a boost to your composure, I'd say by 1 as well. Depending on...
I think I'll go for a boost with disposition, because I like to think that as she says the words, I've seen that look on people's faces before. The look on her own face, just the way that she says it as well, indicates that she's not talking about other people when she says it. She's talking about herself to this maester. There is a look of, although that's not what she says, it is a look of hurt, of knowing she has looked at the same kind of face in the mirror every morning as some poor handmaid does her hair. It's almost like the slightly of the sympathy angle. Like there is a slight desperation to it of wanting to know where her brother is now she realizes something is wrong.
Okay. And so you'll get a +1, like a little bonus, little boost to your disposition rating. It won't change where you are in the ladder, but it will give you essentially more armor to protect you from any of his influence hits. Okay, so pick your technique, and then we can start the intrigue.
I think she's going to go for a convince.
Sure.
As she looks at him, and she waits a second, and there's no response, and the folded hands that did look so composed, she begins to almost like wring them without even realizing. And she's like, please, what happened to my brother? Where is he? I have already been through so much. And he is the one family that I still have right now. Is he okay? Did he go elsewhere other than when I asked it? Please just tell me where my brother is.
You left your brother as he was here at Highgarden, is that right?
I did. I left for Fox Hollow and he was here. I sent word on asking him to visit some family of ours, but I never heard anything back. I've been traveling, so...
I don't remember a Simon Greenmont at court, though.
He may not have been using the name Greenmont. I'm not even sure. You must know him. He was a maester at Old Town.
I must confess, my lady, I do not know all the maesters in Old Town, let alone the Seven Kingdoms.
My brother would have definitely visited you, and she will describe Simon. And I think there's always been a thing that we established, like the Greenmont siblings all look vaguely alike in certain ways. And I think she describes him and says, in fact, I would be almost certain that he would have come to visit you, Maester Godric. So please, if you know anything.
I would have to think on it as he kind of, straightens himself down and he walks around his desk and he sits at his desk's chair. I'd like you to roll the action for me that you'd like to take. So check out the actions on the right-hand side of that cheat sheet and let me know what you'd like to do.
I think here she's going to go for influence.
Okay.
And she's going to use convince, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. So remember, I did just change a little bit of something on your sheet for the
because it's all dice now, isn't
the house
it?
rules.
So...
Yeah, I want to try and avoid the static modifiers.
So is it +1d? Is that one keep dice or one bonus dice?
It is +1 keep dice. 2
Okay,
convince
so...
tests. Yeah, from charismatic.
Oh god, how many dice am I actually rolling here? 8. Hold on, 8d6 keep 4. Is that what I'm already rolling? I don't know how to add this onto
the...
Yes,
so you actually be rolling 9d6 and keeping 5.
Cool. And that's with her bonus to persuasion test as well, isn't it? So... she's got +1 bonus dice to persuasion test.
Yes, let me just click through to your info and abilities for 1 second. I added all of those bonus dice to that.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So 96 keep 5.
Yeah.
And attractive rerolls 1s, right?
She's beast. She's beast.
Yep.
There's 1 in there.
Yeah. Let's 6. Nope.
Still a 1. Oh, all right.
24 though.
It's still a 24. No crits, although interestingly. Oh god, cat, what are you doing? Let me check his intrigue defense here. Okay. That is 3 degrees of success. So what is your will times by 3?
My will times by 3 for a 12.
Do you know what? You're going to defeat him.
And she got nerfed.
Didn't really get nerfed, I'll be honest.
This was post nerf.
No, this wasn't a nerf. This was an adaptation. If anything, you're a little bit better, I think, than in this way we're doing it. But
I don't know how this has worked out.
But it speeds things up, you know. The sniper, Pope's like the sniper elite of social combat. She's playing on hardcore, authentic hardcore. Yeah. So obviously, you'd like to know what happened to Simon. I just need a moment because the juicy fruits are coming. Okay. Describe like that. We'll role play out that landing blow, and then we'll go into it.
I imagine that as he sits at the desk and he does that thoughtful thing, Mara doesn't snap as much, but she walks very calmly over to the desk. And I like to think the Maester he's fidgeting with something. He's doing that thing that what's his face Lannister does, where he's almost like he's like writing something as he's thinking, in that kind of making people wait. Yeah, almost not quite as powerfully as that, but he's messing with something on the desk. And I like to think that Mara comes over, patiently waits for a moment as he's signing something off, and then just kind of has enough and puts her hand on top of whatever he's doing and looks at him and says, "Please, just tell me what happened to my brother. Because the longer you wait, the worse it looks like it's going to be. And I don't think that I need any more stress right now." And she places her hand on her stomach.
He looks at that hand. Your brother did come to visit me. Yes. And was very much sticking his nose in where it wasn't meant to be.
Well, that is definitely my brother. That doesn't answer my question, though. Where is he?
I don't know.
What do you know? Isn't that why they send you off to Old Town in the first place, to make it your business to know? Is that not why you're here at court? Is it not your business to know? So what do you know?
My lady, I will say this out of some respect I have for you and the kindness you treat me here in Highgarden. He was to be dealt with, removed. But my lady, I will not tell you by whom.
Is he dead?
As I said, my lady, and please believe me when I say this is with absolute honesty, I do not know.
And I imagine the hand that she has placed on top of his, whatever papers he was writing, she takes this moment and she just very gently and almost affectionately gives it a squeeze. Thank you. Thank you. If you'll excuse me, Maester, I need to go and get something from my husband. Thank you. And she walks off, and the only thing she can think about right now is going to Alistair, and she wants her father's sword.
All right. The corridors of Highgarden are alive with this nervous energy as servants walk apace past gossiping handmaidens and busy secretaries and courtiers and lords and ladies talking in the corridor. You pass many of Lord Leo's court. Lord Hightower, not the steward, the Lord of Coin here, the Lord Treasurer, as well as Sir Gawain in the corridors, who kind of stops, half calls out to you as you walk past, as you're heading at a pace towards your
doesn't
your
even
quarters.
turn to look.
Sure.
She is muttering to herself as she walks, and she's trying to keep her composure. She's not crying, but she has this slow burning fury in her chest that she can feel as she walks. Not quite enough to make her look like she's in a panic, but quick enough that like people move out of her way as she goes down the corridor. And she can just, if anyone's close enough to hear, she's like, my brothers, my sister, this has got to end. And I imagine she goes to wherever Alistair is, perhaps that's their chambers, if he's back there.
Okay, so you head to your chambers and you open the door, and what you see is Alistair having just stood up, and he turns. He hasn't got his hand on his sword or anything, but he turns as if ready, kind of at attention, looks at you for a second and is like, and relaxes.
Alistair, give me the sword. Now, please. And she holds her hands out. She's not explaining. The whole thing, the belt, the scabbard. Give it to me.
This sword.
My father's sword, yes.
And he undoes the belt and gives it to you.
And she looks at him, and with no context, and I think he's probably only seen her angry, truly angry those few times, like the night after Oliver's death, when he explained to her what happened. I have lost too much. 4 brothers. 2 warded siblings. My stepmother. My godfather. My father and my mother. I'm ending this, and I'm ending this now. Whatever the consequences may be, damn them. Because I don't know what else to do. And she just turns and walks out, and she is going to go... She hasn't drawn the sword. She's just holding the scabbard as the belt hangs loosely. And she wants to make her way to where she would think at this moment Baelor is.
I mean, where do you think Baelor would be?
I would imagine if this is a few hours past like his arrival, that it's probably in wherever in Highgarden the crown would normally be asked to stay, because the pleasantries would have been over with, and she imagines this is the period where he might have retired back to chambers to freshen up in preparation for what would be a large feast that night, assumably.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having spent some time at Highgarden, she probably knows an area of the place that might be used in these cases, the nicer rooms on the higher up floors, and she's going to make her way, and she figures that she'll figure it out where he is because she'll see the Targaryen guard. I imagine they're quite visible in terms of their armor, and the crown is here, so there's going to be pageantry everywhere, anywhere Baelor touches, and that's where she's heading.
Sure. And you do. So you see the Targaryen guards, and as you head up to towards Lord Leo's kind of section, as his quarters down towards the end of that corridor on one of the sides of the keep, quite high up in the floors, you are stopped by the Targaryen guard as this lady holding a sword in a scabbard.
And she'll look at whichever one stops them, and she says, I am no danger to you or anybody else. My name is Mara Oakheart, and I would beg that you ask His Grace to see me. Please. And she is shaking, and it's clear that she is upset, over angry. The anger is there, but it would be obvious to anyone that she is not in a I'd like to hit him in the face kind of mood. She is in a I really need to speak to him kind of mood.
You stand almost panting with this nervous energy as two guards stand just either side in front of you, flanking this corridor as another one heads down into the quarters there. It's not long, actually, before he comes back and he beckons you forward.
She steps forward and she takes a few deep breaths. She's trying to compose herself and straightens out her dress, which is crumpled up a bit as she has been walking and moving and kind of holding it in her hand so she's not tripping over her skirts. Brushes it forward and follows.
He walks behind you, and occasionally you have to look back as he leads you, as he kind of motions you on, as you head toward Lord Leo's solar. The guards at the door there, one Targaryen, one Tyrell, open the double doors in front of you. Etched into its wood is the rose of House Tyrell. And as that rose parts, you look inside a solar that is adorned with tapestries of the Reach's history. It's ancient history from Garth Greenhand through to the Dance of Dragons. And inside, alone, except for two guards on the inside of the door, is the Hand of the King.
I imagine as she steps in, she can't even pay attention to this tapestry, and I think under any normal circumstances she would have been drawn to this beautiful piece of art on the wall. But instead, she looks over, meets Baelor's gaze, and goes into a very deep curtsy, the best she can, while holding a sword in one hand as she picks her skirts with the others and bows her head. Your Grace. Before she looks up, and it's a very deep, slow curtsy as she stands again.
And he is sat at the desk, and he beckons you forward. My Lady Oakheart, please sit down.
Thank you, Your Grace. And she sits, and she's shaking, and she lays this sword across her lap, and places her hands on it, kind of feeling along the scabbard. I apologize for intruding, Your Grace. On any other normal circumstances, I would have waited till court, but I've had some news and it has made me think. And she kind of stops herself as she has that moment where she realizes quite what she's just done, as finally her mind has caught up with the rest of her emotions.
He stands as you figure that out, and before you know it, there is a goblet of arbor gold in front of you. And he walks back round the desk and pours himself a glass.
She takes it. Thank you, Your Grace, to your good health. As she takes a much larger sip than she normally would. I suspected that perhaps your reason for being here in Highgarden was the recent trouble down at Vulture's Roost. My husband was there, as was I. In fact, I walked across that battlefield to tell the men there what His Grace, Prince Maekar, had declared about the skirmish. I'm sure by now you have heard reports about what has happened at Fox Hollow. And I come, not even really sure why I'm here, except that I am begging you to show mercy, if this is why you are here. I am just a woman who was lucky enough to be highborn to a good family, but I have lost so much. My father is gone, and I will understand if you bear no love for House Greenmont on that front. I know which side of the rebellion we stood on, which side my father took. I lost 2 brothers to that war. I tried to convince my husband not to go to that ridiculous battle. I lost another brother I didn't even know that I had until after he was gone. I found out I may have just lost another. One of my youngest brothers is a ward of His Grace Prince Maekar. My sister has been branded a traitor. I don't even know where she is. I don't even know if she's alive. My stepmother, the Lady Marcia, has probably decided to have me removed from the Greenmont family altogether after what my husband did. He tells me, along with the Lord Costain, the intent was never to kill Sir Ironwood, my own godfather, just to arrest him, and things went wrong. My husband, he's a second son who was never trained to lead. He was trained that swords are the answer, and that is the only way that he could think of. And I understand that all of this will be looked at. I do. But I would ask, please, the intentions behind all of this were never treasonous, never self-serving. And the last thing I wish is for anyone else to be wrongly branded a traitor in times like this, when talk of rebellion is here at court again. And often husbands speak for their houses. In truth, Oakheart isn't even really my house yet. I'm not its lady, but if it is anything, if it keeps my little brother safe, if it means that when this is looked at in court, someone might not question my husband's allegiance to the crown, I come here to offer you mine, and that of House Oakheart, for all of the power that I have within it. And it might mean nothing coming from a woman, but I have seen this done. I have seen my father do it, my brothers do it, my husband do it. And she stands up from the chair and kind of pushes it behind her. And she draws the sword and holds it by the blade in the center and very carefully tries to curtsy. She can't quite kneel in the skirts that she's in, but she bows her head and offers the sword up, as she has seen many men in her life do before.
He stands and he takes the sword by the hilt.
She will let go of the blade and she'll just leave her palm open until the sword is moved.
And as he puts the sword down, blade first, and rests it against his side of the desk, he motions you to sit down.
She gets back up and pulls the chair in from behind her and sits. And she picks something on the desk. There's probably an ornament that belongs to Leo Tyrell, probably fashioned with that golden rose. And she just picks it and wrings her hands and just stares. And she is shaking.
My lady, my namesake is for Baelor the Blessed.
She looks up. Yes, your grace.
Baelor the Blessed almost did what so many of my forefathers could not manage. That is reconcile Dawn. My father has managed to do so. Not with swords, spears, horses, but with hope, diplomacy, alliances. I seek nothing more than this. With my journey to Highgarden here. I thank you for this gift. I really do. And I'm glad that you have come to see me, because I have wanted to speak to you. I'm afraid I am going to have to imprison your husband.
She just takes in a very deep breath and drinks from that goblet and places it on the table, and you can hear it ring as her hand shakes. He didn't mean to kill him.
He may not have, but he has to stand trial.
I understand.
I need you to help me not make a mess of this.
I would like that very much, Your Grace. My mother was Dornish. I have never understood quite why some of the great houses still hold on to their hatred of Dorne. My father married a Dornish woman. It never seemed to matter until I was older, until I learned why people hold these hatreds. Even my own husband's house tried to deny Sir Oliver walking me down the aisle at my wedding because he was Dornish. And a few hundred years ago, a single Dornish man committed a crime against them. I begged my husband not to go to that skirmish. He didn't understand. He's the second son of a great house. He was never raised to lead. He was never raised for diplomacy. All he would have done was sat on the sidelines on a horse with his armor. It's all he was trained for. It's all he sees. The sword is strength, and if you have strength, you win. I was taught better by my mother. Since women don't wield swords, all we have is words.
Your mother sounds as wise as mine.
I can only hope that that was the case. I am so very sorry that you have been so troubled to come out here because of this. And I mean that with all sincerity, Your Grace. All I would ask is that if my husband must stand trial, that this trial is fair. And she is now beginning to cry, as she desperately tries not to. And instinctively our hands are now around her stomach. I say this not out of asking for your pity, Your Grace, but I am with child. And I cannot bear to lose another man in my life. Not when he has a son or a daughter that will need him. I only hope that he learns something from this so that he might one day be as good of a man as his father or my father or you or yours, and understand that diplomacy is better than fighting.
And I need your assistance for him to understand that. And to respect the rule of law. We can't have a repeat of his outburst, his behaviour.
I agree.
Especially as the controversy it might cause here caught in the Reach.
I agree, Your Grace. But I would also ask you or anyone looking at this to consider. Just because men are men, it does not mean that they do not act like boys, or that they didn't know any better. The gods know that half of the men in my family don't seem to grow up until they are old and nearly frail. I have no power to ask anything of you. But if I could, it would just be that this is fair. And that if it comes out, as I believe the truth and I know the truth to be, that this is the actions of a brash young man who is trying to prove something to himself and his father, that he is good enough to lead a house, good enough to be a good husband, good enough to be a good lord, to serve this kingdom. A simple, terrible mistake for a young man who has not yet learnt how the world works. And the consequences were grave, but as you said yourself, hope, diplomacy, these are better than violence. Violence inspires violence. Diplomacy inspires better.
A trial without fairness is no trial at all. So, of course, the trial will be fair. Under my watch.
Thank you, Your Grace. I really do apologize for bursting in here. It was incredibly rude of me to demand an audience, but I am very grateful you received me.
As I said, I wanted to speak to you anyway. Please see to your husband. And please see to it that when my guards arrive, no more bloodshed needs to be spilled.
Well, I will say one thing. He is without that sword, so there is one step. I will speak to him. These are very difficult times. I would ask if you do have to imprison him. May I visit? There is only so much stress that I can take for one period of time. Being with child is a big enough thing on its own, and something may have happened to my brother here at court. I don't even know. Being able to see at least my husband, at least somebody. I would beg of you, Your Grace.
Of course. I remember when my Lady Jenna was with child. She was much the same.
Thank you.
Stress is not good for them.
No, and I feel like I've had far too much of it recently. I apologize. This outburst was... My brother was here at court, and I have recently been told that he has been dealt with, whatever that means. Poor Maester here doesn't seem to know much more than that. Perhaps it's just rumour and gossip, but 4 brothers I have lost. 2 that I may never see again. If you happen to speak to the Lady Marcia she contacts for this trial, I would only hope that she sees their justice in it too. If that is all, Your Grace, if there is anything else you might ask of me.
My heart goes out to you, my lady. I have lost brothers too.
I can only apologize that my father was perhaps on the wrong side of that war. I will never know why that's what he chose. I was too young at the time. But I hope that the whispers of rebellion that I have been hearing in this court are nothing more than whispers. No more brothers need to be lost. And she'll finish the rest of that wine, thank him, and bow deeply before leaving, and make her way back to Alistair.
For sure, yeah. I am going to head back over, though, to Rob. The sun rises in dawn, heralding the arrival of another hot day. In a fairly lush meadow on the riverbank, hidden between the toothy peaks of the Red Mountains, Sir Alfred, Sir Rob, and Briar are camped nearby. On the south side of the river, ancient trees loom, their canopies full of strange birdsong. The tall, pale grass that grows here, in a slightly more fertile region as they travel eastward, has started to turn yellow and wilt. Summer is coming, and the smell of death lingers in the air, tainting the beauty of this place. On the rocky bank of the river, just 100 yards from camp, lie the carcasses of a doe and a mountain lion, both of them rotting and half drowned in the waters of the running river. From somewhere higher up in the nearby mountains, a mournful howl cries out into the morning. You can smell the sizzling of some meat on a skillet on the fire as Rob is preparing breakfast.
As best he can, yeah. I think the fish have been scaled, and so he's cooking the fish. I think he considered trying the horse, but decided not to. So it's just the 3 fish he's cooking in a skillet, and he sort of stares outward towards that river, his eyes on the dead doe and dead mountain lion as the water's kind of just rushing over them, spilling over their bodies. His eyes kind of glint a little bit in the morning light. He takes in a big, lets out a breath, he gives a little smile, and he looks around. So this is the next morning, correct?
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question before I consider how to continue. Would Rob recognize this Dornish man, Hyle's horse?
In what sense? Breed or literally like, I know that horse?
Literally. Okay, so here's my question, and this is just my tinfoil. But his horse is named Nymeria.
Yeah.
And Rob traveled with Sir Oliver. So Rob was with Sir Oliver and his horse, which he also knows was named Nymeria. Is this a different horse named Nymeria? That's my question.
Roll me a cunning memory check.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I don't think I have memory, but let me check.
Sure.
Okay. Do I get to know the DC on this?
It's 9.
No?
9.
9?
You have a bonus dice and a test dice in your little screen there that you can
I'm gonna
use.
save them.
Okay.
This is a 50-50 shot, and I like 50-50s.
Okay.
Nope.
There is something about this horse that you recognize, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
Can't be sure. He's not a horseman, for sure.
No. But the Nymeria connection is playing on your mind.
Mm-hmm. He cooks breakfast, and as he pulls the skillet, off of the fire, sets it down into the little pit there. Looks around. He would have woken up very early this morning. Is everybody else already awake?
I would say that Briar, at some point, as you were looking at the horse, would probably have stuck his head out of the tent and been somewhat concerned, but usually doesn't mean much if somebody's looking at a horse after a day's ride. Come on. But probably just step out from there and little salute, as it were.
Gives you a
Alfred,
nod, a smile.
Has already been up. He is around the fire boiling water, and he's using that to clean his eye. So he's kind of like in the morning cleaning his eye.
So I guess with Alfred being a little bit further off, Briar popping out of the tent, he just kind of call over quietly because he doesn't want to wake up their Dornish friend. He'll call over and say,
The Dornish friend is snoring over in the corner.
Just kind of wave and say, did my best with the fish if you're hungry, Briar.
Any salt?
I don't know. I could go. I'll go look for some. Maybe our Dornish friend. No, please. It'll make it better. You're right. I'm just not used to cooking.
Well, you gave a good shot at it. Preliminary bite. I'm assuming it's... actually... Yeah, the salt might be good call.
Pats you on the shoulder as he passes by and he says, yeah, I should have thought of that. I'll be right back. And he's going to go off and not look for salt. He wants to, while this Dornish man's asleep, he wants to investigate without being seen, if possible. Even if he has to take like a long walk around the camp, he wants to investigate the Dornishman's goods that are supposed to be delivered.
I want to see if I can note that he's
sneaking around.
Yeah. Me
sneaking
too.
around.
Okay, Don, make me a stealth check with, it is stealth, isn't it? With a notice specialty dice that might apply if you've got any of those for your bonus dice.
No, I have empathy, but not notice.
Okay.
So I just roll regular stealth.
And then Alfred and Briar, check your passive awareness here. Notice will also add it up by 1 per bonus dice.
That'll be 21.
Okay. And just check whatever Don's roll is against your passive awareness notice.
23.
Okay.
In all fairness, Alfred is cleaning his eye. So, that's my excuse.
And you have that you have that drawback about noticing stuff. So
I don't know anything.
I mean, Briar really tries to kind of where's he gone, and he's just gone.
Yeah, I think he probably moves like he's going into maybe the tent where the cooking supplies would be, like opens the tent, closes the flap, walks around the back of the tent, waits, and then crosses to wherever the goods are packed that he's going to take to Castle Ironwood. Would it be with the horse?
These are on the barge.
They're on the barge. Yeah, that's where he would go. And he'd use whatever cover, those tall trees maybe.
Yeah. You nimbly take a long jump from shore and just land 1 foot and both of your hands on the barge. And then quickly, quite elegantly, manage to just kind of jump up, turn a little, and duck down behind the little wooden wall of the barge hull. And you're on the barge.
I think there's that moment where he's like balancing on the edge, and then he just, before he swings back too far, takes that second jump and like hops the fence and lowers himself slowly down on the other side and lets go.
Sure. You wanted to just check out these supplies, right?
I want to know what he's in a hurry to deliver on time to Castle Ironwood.
Basically, the skinny of this is that these are feasting supplies. There's good wine here. And you can uncork the top of a barrel, give it a sniff, and it's some rich Dornish red. There's a good selection and good cuts of meat here, as well as some really nice other vegetables and some delicacies as well in some of the containers. This is fairly rich eating, and he probably stands to make quite a bit of money from getting them there if he gets them there on time.
Okay. And so he'll kind of take stock of everything there is and parse it in his head. He would also look just to see if there's any like unmarked crates or barrels, anything that might stand out as, okay, well, he's bringing feasting supplies, but is he also delivering something else?
Sure. Yeah. You take a
suspicious.
You take a bit of time and you look through everything and don't find anything weird or suspicious about what he's carrying.
That makes him feel suspicious.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, like with the 23, it's a good roll too. But you get through a fair amount of the supplies. Boys, is there anything you want to do? Like, while Rob has been longer than you'd think to get salt.
And with that, I think Briar is gonna, because I'm assuming the pontoon or the barge kind of moved, right? Could we say that spooked the horse, and maybe Briar is sort of like going over there to like comfort it against all sort of natural instinct?
Yeah. So, like, Rob's gonna be fine. He's taken the time, but it's that amount of time that actually something is spooking the horse, and after this amount of time, maybe something is going wrong, and maybe Rob needs some help even.
Yeah, he's actually like in the beginning bargaining with the horse. I know that I'm riding on this barge, but if you could just all do us a favor and live until Ironwood, that'd be absolutely brilliant, honestly. Bloody hell, second time up. Kind of crest around the camp to see if I notice anything.
Sure. I mean, eventually you do see Rob stood on the deck of the barge.
Hands in the air, just kind of like...
I think once Rob's finished like doing a good thorough search, he's going to find like the fanciest looking salt or spice that he can find on the ship. Just like a little
pink
container
Himalayan. Pink veil salt.
I love it. Pink veil salt. So he'll take a little container of that, something he doesn't think anybody will notice. And I imagine like he gets that in his hand and he turns around and sees Briar there, and he just kind of like, and he'll leave the barge.
Took you long enough.
I've never seen this before, but it looks nice. Probably good on fish, right?
More than good. Friend has expensive taste. Would have thought he was a spice trader with something like this. Used to work a lot with him. God.
Used to working for castles and keeps, Guess the money's good.
More than good. Job's a lot harder, though. I can say that for sure. He's kind of looking at the spice and trying to broach the subject rather delicately, and instead says, "You're the second time that I've lost you. I was trying to look for you."
No, I didn't.
Usually don't lose anybody, but Annie and Brad, and even then, that's when I let them.
Time spent with the devoted. Guess I'm good at getting around. Grew up in Fox Hollow, where I guess I got used to not being seen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Grand old time.
Our friend here, he's got a lot of food, a lot of very, very nice food. I guess maybe they're throwing some kind of feast or something in Castle Ironwood.
Maybe with the golds we can see if we can't get a table, or at least a seat.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Briar. They're throwing a feast. Who else is going to be there?
Everyone, probably. Or at least anyone they care about. Nobles. can barely wrap my head around them sometimes. Actually worked for a Dana High Hermitage. I was pissed when I found out he was from High Hermitage. Thought the pay would be great.
It's never good enough. Even for our friend here, it's not good enough. Not all the people this food could serve back in Fox Hollow, other places. To them, it's a night, a couple of nights of eating.
Are you suggesting we rob the poor bastard?
No.
Well, then why'd you get
Last
this
time?
Shake the vial in front of him.
Guess old habits die hard. Nobody'll miss it.
I hope that you're right. And he'll begin to make his way back to the fire and kind of chew on that sentence. As he's seasoning the bits of fish, he'll turn back to Rob and kind of quizzically look. Old habits, dying hard. Fox Hollow, born and bred. So what's your story then? He'll hand the fish to him.
He takes the fish and pulls a chunk from it and munches on it and kind of nods appraisingly and says, that is a lot better. He kneels down by the fire, maybe like 10 feet away, so it's not so hot. So I imagine even though it's morning, it's probably already getting hot outside. Yeah. And he kind of kneels down and lets his arms drape over his knees, and he looks over to the river where he last saw Alfred. Is Alfred still over there?
Yeah, he's probably just finishing up cleaning his eye.
He watches him clean his eye. Just a little flash of emotion in his own eyes, and he says, it's not a special story, Briar. I grew up poor, and my family's gone now. Got caught stealing food, and Sir Alfred there spoke on my behalf, put me on the path I'm on now. I'm just lucky. Probably the luckiest person I've ever met.
At least the second luckiest. And he'll take a pointed look at Alfred.
No. Alfred deserves what he has. Worked hard for it, fought for it. I didn't fight in the war.
Lose anybody, though?
I don't know how much of a loss it was. My father didn't really know him too well. He fought and died, like a lot of men. What about you?
He goes a little stone-faced and not looking to still out to the river. My brother. Younger man. Only a few years older than you, probably. Thorin were his name.
Yeah, I think there's, after just a beat, there's a spark of recognition, maybe. He looks away from Alfred and back to Briar. He says, Thorin with the devoted?
Aye. He's got his name on the forge and everything. Golden boy he was.
That's what I've heard. Didn't serve with him. I joined after the war. But they still talk about him.
More than me. Prefer it that way. Let people hold on to what they saw, not what was.
You know, Briar, war, or disease, hunger, it's all the same kind of death. And those nobles sitting up in their keeps, their castles, protecting themselves, taking care of themselves. It's everyone else that suffers. And Greenmont, House Greenmont, suffered too. Even with all their suffering, at least they had something to lose, right?
Everyone does. Stakes are different. And it doesn't much matter to the stranger. If I believed in him, of course. As far as I know, the seven are just names that people talk to whenever they're worried.
Yeah.
Borderlight is a figment of someone's imagination. And the werewoods are just trees that we haven't chopped down for firewood.
I guess some of them make for nice stories sometimes.
Not for true ones.
Alfred's gonna walk over now, and he's kind of just drying his eye, and he kind of looks down, looks at the fish, and goes, "Oh, does it taste good? You haven't forgotten the salt, have you, Rob? You always forget the salt."
Briar reminded me. We got some nice salt. Here, there's one for each of us.
Ah, thanks, Rob. And he'll sit down and just start eating.
Small smile at the corner of his mouth as he watches Alfred eat, and he says, "I've been meaning to ask, but I guess there's no polite way to ask. You still a good shot?"
I haven't lost anything, Rob. I'm decent.
I think it's a good look for you, to be honest. I'm glad you're okay.
Oh, yeah. You kind of get used to it after a while. As long as no one comes from my right-hand side, I'm okay. So, I didn't interrupt anything, did I?
Just
No,
talking about
sir.
growing up.
Huh.
Did you know Briar, his younger brother was Thorin
Thorin?
from The Devoted?
Really, Briar?
Aye.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Prefer it that way. Private man I am.
Yeah.
Profession I come from, you don't have friends, you have acquaintances. And then you have corpses. Have to bury them sometimes.
And you got friends right now, Briar. However you want to think about them.
I've been thinking about it. To be perfectly honest, I haven't made much profit of some sleep. Got voices going for and after every dream. Mostly Gracie. Tells me I should be kinder to you.
I like her.
Mm,
Strip some more meat from the fish.
I second that.
And the Lady Marcia, her chastisements, they hurt more than a slaps.
Yeah, they can hurt more than a sword sometimes.
She's never been anything but nice to me.
That's because you talk so well. Sellsworth's tongue is rough. And it's been rougher than usual as of late. For that, of course, well, he just sort of goes back to eating at that point.
Alfred nods.
Rob
You know.
like falls back on his haunches and sits down, so he's not like crouched now, and he's getting a little bit more relaxed.
Briar is standing rimrod straight, like he's not kneeling, not crouching, not anything. He's just standing and eating. But he'll look to Alfred particularly. You seem an honest sort, honest and young, and with much on your shoulders. And you say you fight for honor. For some reason, I believe you. And that's rare, far as I can tell, amongst noble knights and lords. It's hard to believe in honor and duty when princes rip babies from their mother's breast, hold hot irons inches from their face. But as far as I can tell, unless you're hiding something, you don't have no platinum hair. So I suppose I can be a better man. Promised her I would. Promised her for Thorin.
Well, you can ask Rob. I was never very good at hiding things. I try to be honorable. I do, Briar. And I don't really need you to be a better man. In fact, sometimes I need you to be the opposite of that. But if you could just obey an order here and there, that would really help.
Would it surprise you to learn that I'm not even the worst of my kind? When I say a sellsword's tongue is rough, there are some that are far worse than I. Actually, one that had a barge at one point. Mattis. Oh, God, he was a good man. Though he would tell me what he'd do to my mother if ever he found her, how many times he'd do it, how often, how much she would like it. Yeah.
Good fish.
Yeah, very good fish. Rob, you've actually learned how to cook. Yeah.
Oh, it was actually Briar who did the seasoning. So,
Work with spice traders. Often paid me in curries and ground roots. It's not the best fish I've had, but it's a damn sight better than what we could have had.
I'm not complaining.
Neither am I.
you know, Briar, I don't want to say I knew him well, but I knew pretty much everybody growing up in Fox Hollow, or most. I did see Thorin before he started serving, or maybe after he started serving once. A couple of times around the tavern. It's okay to mourn your brother's loss, but you don't gotta be the same person he was. You know that, right?
Yeah. Same person that he was got himself killed. Not aiming for that. Not for a long time.
What do we think of our Dornish friend here?
Seems honest enough. What do you mean, Rob?
Just worried, I guess, that he knows we have gold dragons.
For some reason, I think he's interested in something other than dragons.
What do you
mean?
Rob smiles sheepishly.
He's got an a look about him. Don't be surprised if he might ask to stay in your tent.
What?
God's boy. Alfred, I mean no disrespect by this, but how old are you?
I'm 7 and 10.
Going back to the fish. Nope, not.
He looks at Rob confused and I don't. What?
Let's just say that I think he's happy with the company he's keeping.
Right. Okay. Well, good. Good. I mean,
he gives a conspiratorial smile over to Briar.
we keep him happy. It makes the whole thing go a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's right.
Very much so.
At some point, we're gonna have to talk about what we do at Ironwood, but I think we can save that for another day.
Find the Lady Miria. Get back to Fox Hollow. I don't know if you were planning on something further, but...
A few more details, I think, Briar, yes, but we'll talk about that later.
Briar is going to take a look at Rob just to see how much he knew about Thorin, not asking after anything, but just sort of assessing. And he's going to sort of roll his shoulders and crack his neck, leave the carcass of the fish near the flames, and sort of announce, right, my knees are shot most mornings. Gonna be doing some stretching, some sparring, probably over on that dune over there. Unless, of course, we must make haste.
Well, he waits for the snore from the tent.
Right. Still that loud snore.
Mm-hmm. The guy actually is starting to stir, and the flaps of his tent are starting to open.
If you are quick.
Not my specialty, but I'll try.
I can entertain him for a bit.
You're Rob.
Of
course.
He stops and just puts a hand on Rob's shoulder. Trooper indeed. He'll go off to the dunes. Good for you. Hey, it's perfectly fine. Hey.
Strong.
Rob has like half a fish left, half of his fish left, which is like enough for him for the morning, I guess. And he'll stand up and he'll say, leaning into Alfred before the Dornishman comes over, he'll just say, I think there might be a feast at Castle Ironwood when we get there. So I'm not much of a planner myself, but whatever you plan for, I might expect there could be guests.
Thank you, Rob. That's good to know. Alfred will get up and just start gathering his things, ready for the continued journey on the barge.
Just watches Alfred for just a couple of moments with a smile on his face, and then he crosses towards the Dornishman's tent with a fish in hand. He said, "Oh, we made some breakfast. Would you like some?"
A beautiful time to head back over to Highgarden and to Mara. Alistair is nervously sat in your quarters, his leg just jumping up and down slightly on the front ball of his foot. As he is kind of reading but not from a leather-bound book.
I imagine Mara comes back in and she is, in comparison to how she was when she left the room, very, very calm. And she walks in and she very carefully shuts the door behind her. Sees him. She walks over. And I imagine that he's looking at the book still a little bit. And she kind of watches him for a second. It's like, Alistair, I know you're not really reading that. I know that look on your face.
And you see from behind, he kind of motions his head as if kind of rolling his eyes, and the book slaps shut in one hand. And he turns over the chair to look at you.
And she walks over to him. And I imagine from behind, she kind of leans over the chair and puts her arms around him and gives him a kiss on the cheek. And walks round the chair. And I imagine she almost kneels like beside him. So she's almost at head height with him, the kind of skirts puffing across the floor. And she puts her hands across his lap and she's like, I'm so sorry about earlier. I just found out that Simon is missing or dead. Not really sure which.
Here or?
I don't think he left here. At least not of his own will. If he did, I don't know. I might have done something stupid or I might have done something very clever, and I'm honestly not sure which, but Alistair, I love you, despite any of the mistakes you might have made.
What is this?
I think there is a way that we can get out of this mess. But it means that we have to be honest. I trust that you are honest with me, but we have to be honest to everybody else. I went up to see Maester Godric, hoping that perhaps Simon had left a message for me. I asked him to go and visit the cousins at Blackmont, but I never heard anything back. The Maester said that something had happened. He didn't know what, but that Simon had been dealt with. And she's really trying not to cry and keep the composure that she has gained in her walk back here. And while I was waiting for the Maester and he wasn't in the office, there was a letter with a royal seal. The Hand of the King is here to look into what happened at Greenmont, and apparently a murder that took place on Fox Hollow's lands, a prisoner.
By whose word?
I'm not sure, but the letter wasn't asking for justice in blood. In fact, it specifically wasn't asking for that. And after I found out about Simon, I came here. I just snapped, took the sword, and I demanded an audience. And she's almost like laughing at her own stupidity now she's talking about it. I walked up to Lord Tyrell's quarters and demanded an audience with his grace. I shouted at his guards with a sword in my hand. But he saw me. Apparently he had been meaning to speak to me anyway, having heard about everything that happened. He seems to be a fair man, Alistair. And I babbled like a child about everything going on and begged that he see some mercy in the situation. Begged him to believe me when I said that you did not mean to kill Oliver and you were just doing what you thought was right, and that perhaps, with you being a young man, the weight of a future house resting on his shoulders, that you made some misjudgments and mistakes. I told him that I was with child and that I needed you and that I couldn't bear to lose another man in my life like all of the others. Alistair, he has to imprison you while you stand trial. His Grace says the trial will be fair and hopefully quick. He seems very adamant to resolve these situations, and he seems very adamant to resolve it with diplomacy, not bloodshed. He doesn't want any of this to get out of hand. I don't either. His guards, they'll be coming to arrest you. But he has said that he'll let me visit, considering I am alone in this place and carrying your child. He's lost people too. And I genuinely believe that he understands. And so I am begging you, and she takes his hands in hers. I am begging you. You asked me to believe you when you said that you had no intention of killing Oliver, and I believe you. Because if I didn't, I couldn't be here now. But I am begging you when it comes to this. I know that you thought you were doing what was right, and you may still think that. And I am okay with that. When you stand trial, you have to be humble. You have to be willing to admit that perhaps there was a lapse in judgment in how things were dealt, not the intention, but how they played out. And I am begging you not to do what so many men do and ask for a trial by combat. You are good with a sword, Alistair. But I really think there is a chance that this can be explained and the punishment will not be that severe. Because I need you. I need you alive. And I need you here with me and our child. So I am begging you, trust me on this. You were brought up to learn how to fight with a sword, how to run and control a battlefield. You are the son of a great house, and that is what you are taught. Women, we're not taught that. I couldn't swing a sword if I tried. But what I was taught was how to get by at court, how to use my words to keep myself safe. And so I am begging that you trust me when I say this to you.
There's a rap on the door.
She looks at the door. One moment. Please. Please do not fight this. I believe your innocence, and I know that you are innocent. But if you try and struggle against this, if you refuse to go, it will be an admission of guilt.
There's another rap at the door, and he stands, pushing the chair out from behind him.
She wraps her arms around him just for a moment and cups him by the face, and she's like, please, because if you demand a trial by combat and lose, if you say the wrong thing and get yourself thrown in some cell for the rest of your life, you are as good as throwing me off of that balcony.
There's one more rap, and the guards on the other side of the door yell, open up! And I would like you to roll Persuasion Convince for me.
Where is? Okay. Oh gosh, I just remembered I have to type in how many other dice I get. Where is it? So
this should all just come from straight from your persuasion. Oh no, sorry, because if it's convince, you will get the extra keep.
Yeah,
dice.
so it's keep bonus dice to persuasion test, 2 bonus dice. Does this count for the wedding vows thing?
It can do, yeah.
So that's 2 bonus dice and 1 keep dice.
Mm-hmm.
2 of those. Oh, I don't know how to roll an extra keep dice. I might have to roll that separately. D6. So that'll be 23. I can do math.
And as you hold him by the arms, nothing else is said between the pair of you as the guards force open the door and step inside. And Alistair seems not so much as stiff, but somewhat relaxed and limp in your arms as he looks down at you and fixes your gaze as the guards quietly put chains on him, and he stares at you with tears in his eyes as the guards pull him out to the quarter doors.
And I think in the moment as they're chaining him, she takes that moment to give him a kiss and just kind of put her arms around his neck where she can and just whispers in his ear, "Please, just come back to me."
That is where we will finish tonight's session. Oof. A pretty, slightly lower energy episode, but lots of juicy fruits still, and lots of juicy fruits to come. Thanks so much, fam, for playing with me tonight. I got right into Westeros again. This is always my escape, my happy place. So thank you so much. Let's have a little quick debrief. Tom, you've managed to get yourself towards Castle Ironwood.
I don't know what
On a
everyone's
little
talking
barge.
about. This was just chill. It was
Easy
a great
peasy.
episode. Easy peasy.
You
We're
washed
gonna
your
get to
eye.
Iron. Yeah, I washed my eye. I had some good fish. You know, what more could you want for a tabletop? you
Exactly,
know?
right?
It was great. We've got a really nice merchant with us. Really, really nice. And it's great. It's going well. I honestly think Alfred should travel more because good things, it's always chill. It's always great for Alfred. So if anyone wants to come on a travel with Alfred, it's going to be like Michael Palin around the world.
It is. He is, isn't he?
He's the Michael Palin of Westeros. And it's all good. It's all going to be great. It's all good. It's like a nice, just chill all the way. Well, I mean, the end normally is a disaster or something terrible happens, but you forget about the end. Just concentrate on the journey. You can worry about that later. That's further down the line. It's fine. But yeah, it's great. I do love these fireside episodes where it was such a, I mean, you say it was more relaxing from our side, it was, but then there's Mara's side, which is just
red alert.
fucking like freaking Kill Bill alarm going off every single thing. It's just like, but it's great. It's great. When's the next episode? A week, right?
Next Thursday, 8
So
p.m. GMT.
Oh man, it's so long.
I got to write it first.
I know. Oh, but it was great. I loved it. I can't wait till next week. Yeah. Is it Thursday? It's Thursday, yeah. Yeah, it's Thursday.
Yeah. All right, cool. Where can we find you if we want to see what you're up to?
Yeah, I'm supposed to plug myself. So I'm on Twitter, HotFlakesTom. I'm also on the Discord for Follow Black Cats. So if you want to chat to me there, I'm there. Also, I'm on Encounter Roleplay on Wednesdays for Zweihander. It's the season finale next week, so you don't want to miss that. And yeah, that's me.
Cool. I kind of came for you a bit this session, V. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, do not be sorry. I feel like Mara has been on the edge of this for so long because she's normally so calm and collected, and I think that there is only so much undercurrent that you can take before it comes bursting through. And I kind of decided when we left on the cliffhanger at that Mesa scene that if she got bad news, that was her breaking point.
Fair.
That was it. It's not the biggest thing in the world because there's nothing even confirmed. You know, Simon could be absolutely fine, but it is the thought of another thing going wrong here at Highgarden that just went over the edge. And my only thought was, what would Mara do? And Mara just wants to get stuff done without trying to have too much deception, because she's seen that go wrong. So while I was thinking about it, I was like, what does she do after this? And I was like, she goes and does the only thing that she thinks she can do, which is apparently go and demand an audience with the hand of the king in the middle of the day with a sword in her hand. And
Lucky
somehow
he wanted to speak to you anyway.
And somehow she didn't get murdered by his guard, because I can only imagine how crazed she must look to some poor Targaryen foot soldier when this angry, crying, upset woman shows up with a sword in her hand, dressed very finely, being like, I want to see the hand of the king. Like, but yeah, it's interesting. And what Mara said to Alistair is true. She's either done something very clever here and has set the path up for Alistair to not end up with his head on a pike somewhere, and that they might get out of this with only the minorest of consequences, or she's done something incredibly stupid. But at this point, she doesn't know what else she can do. Like, talking to the Lord Tyrell is out. There's a prince here. We're already fucked. And I can't wait to see how this goes. Although I will say, I like Baelor. He seems all right. Like, he was nice to her, gave her wine. So apparently that's all it takes to make Mara like you at work for Costain.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's whether or not Alistair can be man enough for 5 minutes to listen to her and just not be like that. But I'm right. And it's like, we know you're right, but you're being right in the wrong way. Like, but yeah. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at that side. Is it that side? Did I get it right this time?
Yeah.
At Tabletop Horde, which is where I post most often. And every week I stream over on my own Twitch channel. So that's every Wednesday at 9 p.m. GMT. I'm doing playing through the classic Tomb Raider games. And then every other Monday is my follower voted stream, where I put a poll on Twitter and you decide what I do. Tomorrow night, you can find me over on Encounter Roleplay, running a preview of the new and currently unreleased Dishonored RPG by Modiphius, which is where I work with Sam. So that'll be a whole bunch of fun. You should come along and have a look if you want to see what we've done with it, what we've done with the system. It's bound to be a whole ton of fun. And then not next week is the second half of that two-shot, and then after that we're back to Star Trek. And you can also find me on the Discords. I'm not massively active, but I am there if somebody adds me.
That's fair.
Otherwise, I'm now going to sit and brood over this for the next however long until Mara's back on the casting call, being like, what have I done? The panic will set in about half an hour, and I'll be like, oh God, I've killed us both.
Cool. Looking forward to it. And Jason, thanks so much for bringing us a bit more of Briar's story. I am absolutely here for it. I loved it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was good to sort of hash that out and finally move him from something of a Braun clone to something a bit more substantive. And yeah, as with most things, it really is just being able to bounce off of people who are brilliant. So hats off to Don, Tom, Sam, and what the hell, Virginia and the rest of the cast for listening to me whine, but also helping me hash out a lot of stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, it was a wonderful time, as it always is. I'm so glad that Simon yet again made somewhat of an appearance, but not the way in which he did. Still so many residual feelings from that character, but I'm at least happy that it's motivated the story in quiddly little directions that you have so wonderfully taken, Sam. It's really is a time.
Directions and little avenues I am having to now remember on the fly almost as people dig into some of that.
Yeah, don't
I had to be like, what does this character know? Yeah, okay, right, here we go.
Probably that. I don't know. Hey,
Yeah.
that's usually how it goes, but you weave it wonderfully, and we thank you so much for all of your hard work. As it stands, name's Jason Catrone at Justification Please on Twitter if you want to find out where I am at any one point in time. A few projects coming down the pipes, as it were, but next week, hopefully with Susanna Grace in chat over on her channel, we will be, barring complication or catastrophe, streaming Grains of Truth at, I only know 8 p.m. UK time.
Which is whenever we start. So
yeah,
whatever that was this week.
Whenever this, on Tuesday of next week, over on her channel, we're going to be having some wonderful, wonderful time in Novigrad and that whole story. As it stands, though, again, I give my heartfelt hats off to everyone here.
Sure.
And thank you, everybody, so much for watching on both here on VOD, on YouTube, wherever you're catching us. This is great. Thanks and I'm so glad that we can come back to it.
Yeah, me too. Awesome. And thank you, Don, for taking Rob, who I loved playing, by the way, and just making him everything I thought he was and more. Like, it's so beautifully awkward and charming and almost this, like, sweet summer child, but not. Like, it's so cool.
I feel like if I could cast Rob, it would be like a very young Hugh Grant wearing armor, right? If I could do that accent convincingly, consistently, I would, but I can't, so I won't. But yeah, I'm enjoying playing him. He's a lot of fun, and I really did, like Tom and Jason said, I really enjoyed like our campfire episode today. That's really great for characters, especially like we haven't gotten to interact all that much together yet, but we have these connections and we have a common goal. And to actually get to sit down and, have those moments, just those breathable live-in moments, cook some fish, kill a horse, it is a really, really fun session. So I know we're moving towards something that is going to be very intense. It's been building for a long time at Ironwood, and I don't know what it's going to be, but I think like having this sort of calm before the storm kind of session, where you get to, even in the books too, like some of my favorite stuff in the books is when it's like the Hound and Arya just traveling the countryside together, right? Like those scenes for me, I love them. So I really enjoyed today. So thank you very much, Sam and Tom and Jason. V, I loved your play to try to save your husband's life. I wish I could say that I was rooting for the two of you, but I am rooting for you as a person because it's lovely to watch. And I can't wait to see what happens with that as well. I'm looking forward to the next session. Let's see. I talked about before, but I'll say again, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on Encounter Roleplay. Right after V's show, I'll be running The Haunting of Seawall Orphanage, which is a horror game that I've been working on for a while. It's really fun. It's really narratively driven. It's a really great cast, and I think it's going to up with some high level of horror. Usually it builds there, but we're going to open up with a high level this week and then continue to go on from there. So I'm excited about it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Nice. I love what you've done with the game. I think it's really, really cool, intuitive.
I'm excited to keep working on it too. I'm really happy with like the core of it, and then you can kind of build outward from that. But I love that like it's baked right into the system that every single session has to end horribly. Like it's in the mechanics. It's the only way it can end. So that's really fun, and I'm enjoying it every single week. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter at Donathan Fry. It's where I post about the stuff that I'm streaming or the games that I'm working on. I do write adventures and do a bunch of other things as well. On Tuesday nights, right after Susie's Witcher game at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have my other big show right now. It's Dark Sun 5th Edition D&D. It's called Rise of the Veiled Alliance, and this is a blast. It's so much fun because I basically taken the elements from Game of Thrones, like the politics, and like the you know, like the conspiracy theories and backstabbing plots, and I've injected into this really like pulpy fantasy world, like post-apocalyptic fantasy. So if you don't know Dark Sun, it's an awesome setting. If you ever want to check that out, it's on Tuesday nights, and I'm really enjoying that as well. But I'm hoping we play again next week. But whenever I'm called and Rob is called to flirt and smile and fish his way through the countryside, I will be here on Thursday. I can't wait.
Oh, and you will. But tomorrow, not that far in the future. On Thursday, yeah, we will hook back up with Castle Ironwood, and a lot of things will come to fruition. If you want to catch that, folks, then check us out on the Thursdays, 8 p.m. GMT at the moment, so whatever that works out for you to be. Or you can catch us on YouTube's Follow Black Cats, or you can check us out the VODs on here for Twitch, Follow Black Cats as well. You can catch more of us at Follow Black Cats on Twitter and blackcatsgaming.com for our spy game, which is a game I'm developing with James, who's the other half of the company, basically, while I'm enjoying my evenings away from Modiphius Entertainment. And yeah, we're just finishing off the drafts for it now. So exciting times. So let's raid channel. I've got to find a little person. Encounter Roleplay is still going. I believe they are doing their Death's Curios with Hollowtail. So let's go and check them out, friends. So stick around, and we'll be heading over to Encounter Roleplay very soon. Thank you again for joining us. I always enjoy this game so much. And we're ready to go. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Here we go.
What did I do?